Before I share our journey with you guys, I just want to share that I'm quite accustomed to proposing toasts at weddings. So if you would please fill up your glasses and enjoy the journey with me, finally. Okay, so what I want to do is talk you through a couple of things that we've done in our journey. But first of all, for those who don't know ABSA, especially our international participants here, ABSA, in very simple terms, is a bank. We've got representation in 12 countries in Africa, with our head office here in South Africa, obviously offering a wide variety of banking products. So, Michi, I think there's quite a nice opportunity for you guys in Africa. Now, our journey. Obviously, the problem that we have to solve is not, or what we had to solve is not unique to any other company in the world, I would say. We've got major things around tracking and planning our stuff. Obviously, a lot of these things are being done or were being done manually. And then the transparency thereof was also a big challenge, because ultimately in a big organization like ours, you want the execs up there to know what's going on, and 9 out of 10 times we are not really in a good position to share whatever we are busy with. The ultimate goal of this journey of ours was to automate our reporting. And I'm not sure whether in your organizations it's the same thing, but in our organization, it's very much PowerPoint and Excel driven, which is a huge challenge. So, what was it that we actually needed to achieve? Especially in the reporting side, we wanted to slice and dice our data. We wanted the execs to have at a high level, see what's going on, and have the ability to drill down. And then also now, we want to have our stuff available more visually. Because writing reports, newspaper after newspaper, I don't believe is quite effective. And so we can carry on. And then from a tracking and planning point of view, we wanted to do some real-time forecasts. 9 out of 10 times, you can imagine, with an IT department of in the region of 5,000 employees, to look at your capacity, understand where you are, is really not that easy at any point in time. And then our ultimate goal is then to do what-if analysis. You know, priorities in the banks or in any environment, the ask is normally 100 times more than what the capacity allow to work off. Now, how did we do it? From a team perspective, we actually implemented Jira. I'll have to move a bit more this way. I can't read on the small screen. Sorry, guys. Our teams use Jira then to actually capture their issues, and they do the normal team type activities by creating their stories and estimating them, building their backlogs, very much your agile type of disciplines. Now in Jira, we use the standard hierarchy, whereby you've got your epics, your stories, your bugs, your testing tasks and incidents, and subtasks and sub-bugs. I think what is interesting here is the testing tasks. It's something new that we actually brought in. So once in the development cycle in sprint, once a story is done, we actually automatically create a testing task where it actually goes into the post-development Kanban board, which basically talks to all the testing activities, which is your SIT, UAT. And then obviously we have portfolio, and that is where our main activities are around the reporting. In order for us to achieve that, we actually developed a blueprint, and I'll take you through the blueprint on a very high level. It is defined in detail. Gal, it's almost as thick as the Bible. and the people needs to stick to that. Otherwise, our stuff is not going to work. When we started the portfolio journey, we had a hierarchy that long. And the more we started working with that, we realized, but this is just not practical. There are more facilities in Jira where we can, for instance, use components, custom fields, those type of things to actually reduce the portfolio structure. So what we end up with was actually 2 items in the portfolio hierarchy. One being the themes, which is your standard portfolio themes, which is basically on a high level the strategic direction the company is taking. And then we also defined features. Now the word feature might be relatively new to you guys. In most environments, they refer to initiatives or projects or something like that, but we are working in a much granular level. So we defined features as like the benefit or a business value or a physical feature out there to a customer. A typical example of that would, for instance, be on our mobile app. If we now decide to start prepaid electricity to our customers, we actually define prepaid electricity as a feature. And maybe it could be interesting for you to know as well, not working actually in project modes anymore or initiatives or programs or whatever you want to call it, we work in squads. Now, what does a squad mean? A squad actually contains business representation, your analysts, your developers, your testers, everything, and then we actually finance a squad and not an initiative. And in this whole blueprint, what we did was, for like a Jira project, so a Jira project wouldn't typically be onboarding of customers on a digital platform. A squad would be in line with our products. And a product is defined as, for instance, our banking app, our online banking. So it's a totally different view of how we actually do these things. Okay, in order for this to be successful, the teams must be extremely disciplined to do their hierarchy linking, obviously capture the releases or fixed versions, as it's also known as, their story points, their dependency linking. We find that extremely helpful across the organization. We can actually pick up where our dependencies are. And when it comes to portfolio reporting, I love that view on the right-hand side and how easily you see it going from green to red the minute the dependencies kick in. And then also a very important thing is the grooming sessions quite often. Now in the blueprint, we've also defined the agile way of work, and there we ask for the teams to groom at least every second week to get our data more real time. There we go. There's our blueprint scope. As I said, we covered it extensively. Please don't take photographs. You can consult afterwards. No, I'm joking. Okay, so obviously we defined the portfolio and Jira hierarchy. We defined each and every possible thing that could lead to confusion with our users. We actually even tell them how to capture the information. We detail the minimum configurations for portfolio, and as I said earlier, we actually defined the agile methodology that they need to use, and we went down to a portfolio and Jira roles and responsibilities for each and every member in a team. Then we set up our permissions. Obviously, you can imagine, up until now, we've trained about 60 key users that needs to take the stuff down into these squads. that we actually decided on using groups, and you actually belong to a group, and that's where you're getting your permissions from. And then we also defined the naming conventions. Okay, this depicts our key milestones. Now guys, we started last year in June, so it's just over a year ago where we actually defined our requirements. We did this extensively in an organization of this size, you can imagine. By July, we actually completed an audit, we completed a proof of concept and defined the portfolio hierarchy. And then we actually started rolling it out to our squads in September once the blueprint was finalized and we had buy-in across the organization. So we started off in last year. We actually, from September to, you can't really call it December because we all know the banks in December, everybody's on leave. So to about November, we actually rolled it out to 12 squads. And I'll take you through the journey, how we actually approached all these squads. And then in the beginning of this year, up until August, we rolled it out to another 23 squads. And by the end of October, we would be completed with the journey. So another 9 squads to go, and then we are done. And now we actually have to embed it, or the embedment goes all along. In parallel with that, we actually started what we call the automated reporting journey. I'll share that with you as well. So yes, you've got your online reporting in Jira, you've got your online reporting in Portfolio, but we all know the executives, they are stuck to a picture, and we actually converted the PowerPoint, call it reports, into web-based reports, which I will share with you a little bit later on. So in July this year, we actually launched the custom report. It's not across the organization yet. For now, it's purely in digital, which covers about at least a third of all the squads in the bank, so it is quite big. And now the next step would be to roll it out across RBB, which is retail and business banking. Okay, let me just get this one right. Nyaman. Okay, there's our approach. So this is basically the approach that we actually follow per squad. So first of all, we do a as-is assessment 2 weeks prior to the training. And that is mainly for us to understand where they are from an agile point of view, their maturity. That will dictate how we actually approach them during the training. We look at their current Jira setup, if they have something already, and then obviously understand their team structures. And once we've done that, obviously the team goes away and plan their training, and then the training takes place over a 2-day period where they actually get trained in Jira, Confluence, Portfolio, and the blueprint, as it's crucial for them to understand the blueprint. Then we obviously have the help of Obsidian, who is basically doing the majority of the work for us. They create the projects for us in line with the blueprint, and then they provide 7 days of support to that specific squad, where they cover Jira, Confluence, and the blueprint. Now you might ask, how did you cover that 40-odd squads in such a short period of time? Obsidian gave us more resources, so in some instances we run 3 of these streams in parallel. That's the only way we could achieve that. Now once that is done, the custom reporting side kicks in. What we've done from the reporting point of view, especially with the blueprint and the features, you can't allow users just to capture anything. Otherwise, it might not make sense on an executive level. So whatever is agreed on their book of work, on an exco level, my team actually captures those features and then the teams must just go back and link the epics and stuff to those features in order for our reporting to make sense. And then they also support those teams and handhold them, and that is an ongoing exercise that we actually do there. Okay, so our result is actually, from a portfolio point of view, we actually get the visibility at scale that we actually want. And as you can see here, it's a very nice, realistic roadmap that we are getting here. Now, if you look at this portfolio view, on the left-hand side is the so-called JIRA projects. Now, for us to read this, it's actually quite simple. We don't have to think. In our setup, the left-hand side, JIRA project is equal to a squad. So we can easily understand which squads are in difficulty and which ones are still green and good to go. Then we created our customized reporting in Confluence. On my next slide, I'll show you, it is actually quite nice. We actually developed it with a web-based look and feel, and it's real-time reports, even though they actually sit in Confluence. And it's very quick and easy that the people can actually access them. So what we've done is the data is generated directly from JIRA and embedded in Confluence. And the views that we have currently created is where we can see per feature the progress status, we can see channel roadmaps, we can look at backlog features, release schedules, business unit itemization, and also have a consolidated report, which is lifted to the highest level for the executive. So here is basically our views. As you can see, the one here on the left-hand side shows our visual roadmaps. Over here, what we actually do is we've got it in a table format as well as in a graphic format. You can imagine being in digital, you're not actually necessarily always do work for yourself. You will, for instance, do onboarding for your lending products and those type of things, the various business units, what we call benefiting business units. So this graph gives us a nice view as to see, as for the benefiting business units, how many features are we actually delivering for them. So it is nice information for them. This one here is, for instance, a capacity view of one of our squads. You can see here they are still good to go. The one right at the top is actually the executive report. They are still sort of in the movie of something is red, amber, or green. So that actually depicts the red, amber, and green. If something moves to amber or red, then we actually force them to update certain fields with the impediments and those type of things. So that is basically where we currently are. Oh, I'm dreading to press this button. That's basically where we are with the reporting point of view. Okay, now the tools that we are using. I think it's obvious that we're using JIRA and Confluence and Portfolio, but when we also use Script Runner by automating some, to automate some events in JIRA. Then we use this JIRA suite utilities for the advanced workflows that we require, and then Backbone. Now, Backbone is an interesting one, what we are using. And the reason for us using it, you will not believe it, we've got 3 instances of JIRA and Confluence in the bank. And that is where Sandla. I saw Sandla here. Sandla, your problem, please sort it out. Because it's really a nightmare for us at this point in time. Now, to do reporting on an RBB level, where we've got data on 3 different instances, is a bit of a challenge. And the only challenge that still remains is from a portfolio point of view, where we can't actually, through Backbone, upload the parent links. Now, I heard earlier one of the speakers saying Africa is not going to be orphans anymore, so hopefully we will get some attention on this and get this done. But what I also didn't realize is that we have to vote. Now, I think after all my hassles today with this presentation, 1 million votes to this fix, please.
I have the issue key if anyone wants to vote.
Okay, and then before I move on, I'd just like to introduce my team to you guys. We are really a very, very small team, and I think in the period we have achieved quite a lot in getting to this point in time. I would like them to get up. I've got Nicolette van der Berg there. She is our reporting girl and very strong in design. She's not looking for a job, please. So she does all our web designs and the automated report. Thanks, Nicolette. Then we've got Pam there. Pam is working with Nicolette on the reporting. Her next step is to move into Jira administration. And then we've got Solo. Solo is my left and right hand and my feet. She's actually responsible not only, she was not for the rollout within digital, but also across RBB with the squads. And then new to our team is Carlos. Carlos manages the finances, and also is mainly responsible for the Jira portfolio and Confluence rollout in RBB. Carlos's next challenge is obviously for us to get more sustainable and, sorry, less reliant on consultants. Carlos has come up with the concept of training videos embedded in Confluence to assist our users. And then obviously there's the Obsidian team. Thank you for taking us to where we currently are. Okay, then we're out again, but the last slide is questions and answers. Any questions?